Welcome, everybody. This is SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on Build Your Brand, Transform Your Business with AI. I'm Tim Ryan, the webinar coordinator and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. Our presenter today is Joe Ansah. More on Joe in just a minute. Our sponsor today is the Southern Connecticut Black Chamber of Commerce out of Bridgeport. And we have Diana Washington in attendance. Diana, do you want to say anything before we begin?
Yes, I would. I want to thank everybody for joining us and just give you a little bit of information about the chamber. We are a membership business network organization serving small businesses in Fairfield County and beyond. We provide advocacy, networking opportunities, educational and informational workshops, free access to contract bids, to MBE certification, membership and business to business perks, along with newsletters providing information about grants, loans, events, and more. Our goal is to make sure they are aware of the resources and services that are available to help them to either start or move their businesses to the next level. Also, partnering with us is the Bridgeport OIC Biz Hub 2.0, and they are unlocking the doors of opportunities in Greater Bridgeport and the surrounding towns for over 20 years. They play a vital role in the struggle for economic justice and provide free job placement, skills development services, along with Serve Safe certification, small business development, and urban farm training. Led by Deborah Cavanis, President and CEO, OIC and the Biz Hub prepares and empowers adults for today's workforce, the changing economic and environmental challenges. And both of our contact information, you'll be able to find it in the chat section. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks, Diana. Next, here's some information about SCORE. SCORE is funded by a grant from the Small Business Administration, so all our services are completely free. There are about over 200 actually SCORE offices in the U.S. with over 10,000 volunteers. Fairfield County SCORE covers from Greenwich up through Shelton and is one of the largest and highest rated chapters in the nation with over 100 volunteers comprising a wide range of experience. We offer 3 evaluated services to small businesses, which are all accessible from our website at fairfieldcounty.score.org. First, we provide free one-on-one counseling. If you don't have a SCORE mentor, why not? They're free. Second, we produce over 100 educational workshops and webinars each year like this one on topics of relevance and importance to small businesses. And third, we have extensive resources and tools on our website, including templates to help you build your business plan. Our next webinar, co-sponsored by the Black Chamber, is on March 28th, and it will cover HR essentials, so don't miss it. Consult our website for details on this or any other upcoming events at SCORE. Some useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for some Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It's located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be sent to everyone who is registered and available on our website within the next couple of days. Now our speaker. Joe Ansah is an entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Tall Tale Studio, an AI solutions provider with 20 plus years of branding and marketing experience, producing big results for a wide variety of clients in different industries. He's a former creative director for Save the Children, and his team helped raise millions to support of their mission. So now I'll turn it over to you, Joe. Joe, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Tim and Diane. Great to have you both with us. Hi, everyone. Let me just jump right on in. You have a pretty good sense of who I am and my background. level of experience. I've worked with some pretty big brands, including M&M's. I've worked for a lot of Unilever brands. Unilever is a master brand, so underneath that umbrella, you'll have all the the foods and medicine. So like Hellman's is one. And you'll also have the like your Advils and and a lot of other companies that you're used to already seeing kind of on the grocery store when you go in and you buy the foods that you usually get. I've worked with Kellogg's, for like the release of Spider-Man when they partnered, and we've created apps and websites and just promotional microsites, things to just kind of help their brands grow. So I've been doing that stuff for a little more than 20 years now. And right now, the big shift really is a move towards, how do we use AI to help our brands grow and just effectively be better and more efficient at what we do. So the objective for today is to help everyone understand how AI can help you manage and grow your brand or business with a little less effort. Okay, the small business challenges. Um, as small business owners, we all know that we juggle many responsibilities, wearing many hats. The market demands are high and resources are limited. So to compete, businesses have to adopt new strategies, and AI and automation can help small business owners bridge that gap. So, what is AI and why does it matter? Okay, so an official definition of AI is something like AI refers to computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. Why does it matter? AI enhances efficiency, it reduces workload, and improves customer experiences. The common uses in business are data analysis, customer service, marketing, automation, and content creation. If I was to put AI in context, just so that you really understand kind of at its heart what it is, AI is a large language model. What I mean by that is imagine all of the information that's available about humans, everything that we do, all different subject matter, kind of brought into one space, kind of like a library or even a bookstore if you're not familiar with the inner workings of the library. Um, so imagine going into a big library. How did you kind of find what you need? So let's say you've got a report. When you were in school, you have a report to do, and in that you are arguing either for something or against something, but you have to go to the library to get the information to support your argument. When you went in there, you spoke to the librarian, and if you're in a bookstore, you spoke to, went straight to the info desk, and you asked them for what you were looking for. And in their store of knowledge, they looked around all of these books, all of the categories, and they were able to point you specific to where you needed to go to find the specific resource you're looking for that would help you accomplish the task at hand. That is effectively what AI is. It's a large language model, which means it's a big library of all of the information that humans have at their hands. The important piece of that is that it stops at a certain point. So let's say it's as current as 2024, December 2024. So everything known up until that point. And then of course times marches on. So when you're using AI, you want to be aware of when the relevance component. You want to know when that information was gathered. Is it still current to where you are right now? Those are things that you internally have to kind of weigh and measure. For some things, that's not that important because the information is not changing that quickly. But for other things, you may want to know, well, that was last year's information and the industry has shifted. So now I need AI to go onto the web and actually do new research, find what's relevant and modern, current, and apply it to the task at hand. So those distinctions matter as far as like the quality of the resource that you're getting from it. Okay. All right, the benefits of AI and automation. Um, so automation saves time for repetitive tasks. That's the difference between AI. Automation is consider setting a schedule of things that you want to happen in sequential order. So I do this, and the automation takes that and does A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and in the same order, and it does it repetitively. Every single time I do this, the next 10 steps automatically happen without me having to do anything. That's automation. Okay, so it boosts productivity. So that means it allows small teams to achieve more. So you set that one trigger, you do that, and the rest, of 20 things happen in that daisy chain after the fact without you having to do much more once you've set it up. It improves decision making. So that means it provides data driven insights. So it can analyze let's say you get Google reviews and you want to get some sentiment about how people are feeling about your company at this given time. You can feed it all of that information. Let's say you've got 100 of them. Rather than you go through every single review that you got, it can look at all of them in one shot, and you can tell AI, give me a summary of general sentiment about my organization. Tell me how I'm doing and where people feel I can improve. It can analyze all of that in seconds and tell you about your organization, how well you're doing, and what you can do to get better. That's where the efficiency comes in. And then also it enhances that customer experience. So from a personalization and response time element, um, you can literally put AI on hand to engage with customers, kind of in a customer service um, scenario. And we will actually touch on that a little bit in another slide. But you can have AI engage with your customers as well. And that'll take care of the repetitive tasks that as a business leader, you may not necessarily have the time to deal with yourself. All of this begins with a prompt. And I'm going to go back to that analogy about the library and the bookstore. When you went in and you spoke with the librarian, or you spoke with the people at the info desk in the bookstore, how you asked for the information was important, right? You had to tell them what task you were at hand. I'm writing a report. I need to argue for something or against something, and I need the books that would help me substantiate that thing. So when the librarian pulled out the catalog desk and they said, okay, um, you need to go get book A, B, and C, because in those books, you'll have the access to the argument that best supports what you're trying to do. That was the service the librarian provided you. And then they would help you get the books, kind of tell you where to look. And then you took it, you were on, off to the races. That's what AI is doing in this case. So when you're talking about prompting, it's giving AI the right parameters so that it knows how best to help you. Because remember, AI's got access to a whole library of information. It needs guidance. It needs you to tell it, where should I focus my efforts, and how will it best help you. So it's kind of like a help me help you scenario. So the basics of AI is prompting. So that's giving AI clear and structured instructions. So the key elements of good prompting: be specific, provide context, and iterate for better results. Okay, here's an example of a bad prompt. Okay, so let's say you get into ChatGPT and you say, write me an awesome ebook that impresses people and makes them jealous. That's bad. Or another one, register my business and build me a website that ranks number one in Google searches. That's bad too. So why is it bad? Well, for number one, it's all very vague, and you're expecting AI to do a lot of guesswork to get the answers that you need without really defining the kind of results that you want. Right? Let me show you what a technically accurate prompt would be. Here's your sample prompt. Now, in actual use, you're not going to have to be this specific, at least not the first shot out the gate. But this is the way I want you to start thinking about prompting, how to ask for things with AI. And in this, you'd say something like, hey, GPT, write in a simple, clear style that's easy to read and works well for research engines. Stick to a basic sentence structure, subject, verb, object, so everything flows naturally. Keep sentences short, straightforward, and to the point. Avoid fancy abstract words like meticulous, navigating, complexities, realm, or bespoke. The goal is to optimize for NLP algorithms, making the content direct, accessible, and easy to interpret. Make sure 40% of the content is engaging and fun to read. It should rank well on search engines, but also not feel valuable and interesting for people to read. Keep it balanced, optimized, but not robotic. So what you're doing in something like this is, if you look over to the right side, you're being direct with GPT. You're telling it what to do, what not to do, right? You're giving it guidelines. You're also being concise without giving it a whole lot of fluff and things that are not actionable, things that it can't really do anything with. You're also using word restrictions. So in your results, I want to see these particular words excluded. Don't use anything like this, right? And then the NLP that I mentioned in there, that stands for natural language processing. So that's the way Google also looks at, let's say you write blog content. Google also looks and reads through your blog content and ranks you based on NLP, natural language processing. And that simply means how close you are to how people speak, right? And so that's it's a ranking factor, even for Google. And then you have the engagement requirement where you're telling it, um, I want you to make sure that the content is at least 40% readable for people so that they can enjoy it. And it also works well with the search spiders that are going to catalog and rank my content. All of this, and then the last part is the balance SEO with readability, right? So if you put all of these together, it's fairly specific and gives AI, a good set of parameters and guidelines for the kind of results you're going to get. Now, this doesn't mean everything you get is going to be perfect right out the gate, but what it does is it brings you much closer to your target. Your job, as always, is going to be to look through the results that you get and decide, does this hit the mark or does it not? I'm going to just kind of reiterate this. So AI, again, being as advanced as it is, I want you to start thinking of AI as beyond just being a library of all of human information. It's a child, right? It's a very advanced child. In the same way that you tell children what to do and you provide guidance and you tell them when something is right versus wrong, you have to do the same thing with AI. AI doesn't know the difference between, is this the right result for you or is it not? The only person that can judge that is you. Your human lived experience lets you decide whether something is appropriate or not. AI can bring you really, really close to it, but at the end of the day, you still have to make that call. So as a business leader, you still retain a lot of control over your communication and how you want to engage your audience. Okay, so now it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and play a little bit. Um, there's no better way to get comfortable with AI than to simply do it. You got to jump in with both feet. I put this chart together to help everyone kind of find their space and at least a comfortable entry point so you can begin to play. Depending on what, the nature of your business, what you do, look at these columns. You may kind of have some crossover areas, but at least these will begin to kind of help you dip your toes in and begin to start playing. Don't forget the idea about prompts and how kind of relevant that is to all of these different tools that you're about to experience. In the writing area, I have three listed. So ChatGPT, that's kind of like, think of it as your general AI tool. It does a lot of things. It'll generate imagery. It obviously writes. It's good at even code. It can look at JavaScript code, help you fix errors, generate them, and so forth. If you're doing general writing, go straight to ChatGPT. And I mean, it's just a good starting point anyway for everyone. There's a free version and then there's a paid version. If you're a technical writer, you're writing grants or you do research documents, you'll want Perplexity. Perplexity does the more background technical document research and will bring that to you, but not only bring it to you, but it'll also cite its sources and tell you where it found specific information. So if you don't want to just kind of be, just making things up as you go, you'll want Perplexity to double check everything that you're including into your research so that you know the source. Claude is seen as is similar to ChatGPT in that, except that it's sometimes seen as a better writer. Claude will also do charts and graphs and things like that. Now, I know I haven't asked Perplexity to do this, but I've asked GPT and Claude to generate not only imagery but charts and graphs. So even something like Excel spreadsheets. It'll produce one of those based on your research, your data, and things like that. And then literally you have to just click and download it, and you're off to the races. If your company deals much more with images, you'll want to begin with something like Dolly or Midjourney. These are your kind of your two main image generators. And I'll say this to the presentation as we're going through. If you haven't looked, the images in the right rail of my presentation slides are all AI generated. And I will tell you, down at the bottom, Google Labs Image FX is what I use to generate every single one of those. And you see just kind of how realistic and lifelike every single one of them is, with the exception of the, I think it's coming up in about 2 slides or so, where it's intended to look a little different. Um, Next one is Canva. If you look at Canva as a great, think of it as your AI version of a graphic designer. It does logo generations. You can use it to create content for social posts. It helps with creating video, things of that nature. And then we are obviously talked about Google Labs Image Effects. Please, give all these guys a shot. If you do music and videos, things of that nature, you'll want to try out HeyGen. HeyGen is a little bit of an outlier to this list because what you can use HeyGen to do is create a digital AI version of yourself. So you're a business owner, you don't have the time to be in every single presentation or to create 100 different videos for content to post onto your social platforms. You can use literally HeyGen to create a video-based AI version of yourself that looks exactly like you and sounds exactly like you, and you feed it all your different scripts at whatever given time you want, and it'll run it through the AI, and it'll output video of you saying that script. Best part of it, these days, you have to be able to speak to more than one audience. So if you're an English speaker, awesome, it does English. But if you speak Spanish, or if you speak, Japanese or German, it can do that for you. So coming from that same construct of how you look, how you sound, it will change the language. So now you're speaking perfect Spanish, you're speaking perfect Japanese to your audience. It's an amazing way for you to connect with audiences whom otherwise because of language barrier, you wouldn't have access to help build your brand. Okay, CapCut does similarly in terms of video-based products and things that you can use to post in social. So again, you want to jump into that, similar to Canva, but it's very focused on video components. And right now, we know from a video standpoint, it gets the highest engagement. So as a brand, if you're looking to build an audience and promote yourself, you want to post a lot more video than you do, even images. It just gets a much higher engagement metric. And then for music people, you don't actually even have to be a musician. If you can use prompting to describe the kind of music that you want, literally go into Google Labs' music effects and give it the prompt for what you want, and it'll generate 30-second clip for you. Now that could be something that you can loop, but you give it, stylistically, I want it to be more like rock, or it's a soothing, more jazzy sound. You put those words in your prompt, and it will shift and adjust the sound to give you something closer to what you're looking for. Okay, that's kind of like the white side. That's the safe zone. If you're a little bit more adventurous, we're going to go into the other side of the deck. Okay, in the gray lane, when we talked earlier about automation, there are some tools out there that allow you to do this. So you can basically connect and daisy chain a series of actions together. So in that area, we're going to start with Zapier and Make. And both of those are automation tools, and they can literally connect one software platform to another through what's called an API. And then it lets this one program begin to talk to that second one, and they pass information back and forth between the two of them. So all you have to do then is create the workflow and say, I want this series of steps to happen every time I do this. And it takes over from there. And then with those connections in place, it will talk to all of the other software that it needs in order to pass your information and then output exactly what you want. Okay, another fun little bit is Notebook LM. This is another Google product. And Notebook LM was primarily created to, help summarize text, long novels and things of that nature. Um, but one interesting thing that it does, it gives you access to basically two voices that will speak to the context. So let's say the summary that you've written about you know pick a book, any book you want, and it'll give you a summary and kind of give you like the cliff notes version of what it is. Okay, so now those two voices can just speak to you and have a discussion, a conversation about the summary from your cliff notes version. It works so well that literally giving it information on what you want, those two voices having a conversation, I've actually been able to use that to create my podcast. So if as a company you're looking to also do, a podcast, it doesn't have to be your voice. You don't have to make the time to sit and find a co-host and have that lively conversation between the two of you. Those two AI voices simulate a lively conversation between a male and a female co-hosting voice. That is precisely how I generate my podcast. So go to Apple Podcasts and look for Tall Tale Podcast. You'll get a perfect example of how those two AIs sound when they're working together. Okay, as a business, you'll want to have a good kind of like ear to the ground sense of how your brand is performing. So Brand 24 allows you to do social listening. So that means you then become aware of, in whatever channels, anything that's being said about your brand. So you can manage, sentiments out there. So again, you want to kind of have your ear to the ground and be have all of these things kind of accessible to you. In the beginning stages, you may not be as ready for that just yet, but as your brand grows and your overall sentiment becomes something important that you want to manage, that's going to be a valuable tool for you with your growth. Okay, the black lane over to the right side is the I want to say is for the bolder people who maybe you have a little bit more ability or familiarity with coding, and you just want to be right on that cutting edge. One of the tools I mentioned earlier about the use of voice. One of the tools that I use for that is Vappy. Vappy is a tool that I use to develop my AI kind of like high end product offering. And it allows me to not only define the AI's task in terms of what it can do, what it has the capacity to manage, but it does it in a conversational manner. And I don't even mean conversational where you have to type things. Literally, you just speak to it in the same way that I'm talking to you right now. It listens, translates what you said into text, and then it runs your algorithms, finds the answer, translates that text back into speech, and then it speaks to you. All of that happens within a matter of seconds. So literally, as I ask questions, it listens, translates, finds answers, comes back and speaks it back to me, and we're having a conversation back and forth with each other. So that is what Vappy allows me to do. Super Whisper, I had just mentioned the need to type things. Super Whisper is an application. It sits on your laptop, your desktop, your computer. You can assign basically Super Whisper to function from one button click. And so now, if you're the type of CEO, you don't like typing or you type very slowly, right? You want to eliminate typing from your day to day and in every way. So literally, let's say I need to fill out or write an essay, write a script, whatever. I know it in my head, but I don't want to type it. Like I used to have to get a secretary to handle that for me, and then I would dictate it to them or something like that. No more of that. So now, literally, I press my button that Super Whisper is assigned to, and then I speak. In speaking, it'll take all of that, and regardless of what app I'm using, it'll plug it all in. So I can go, oh, okay, excellent. I like that. Remove this. I don't like that. Strike this, add this. And then it's all happening conversationally. And I commit the change, and the work is done. So as a CEO, you're looking to be efficient, and so you have to look at everything that you do, and streamline, cut away the fat, like the things that are no longer necessary or can be improved upon. You want to work at and kind of get to the point where everything is much more optimized. So you're spending less time kind of managing the shop versus more time being the CEO and growing the business. That's where you want your attention to be. Okay, the last one I have on the list is a total deep end. That's why I left it for last. It requires a little bit of development, kind of coding skill and so forth. But I put it in there because Cursor has a mode called YOLO. The YOLO mode, when activated in Cursor, and Cursor is an app that you have to download and install on your machine. The YOLO mode allows you to simply speak to the program, and it will code for you. So let's say you want to build an app, right, for the Apple App Store and things like that. You don't have a clue how to use JSON or Python or JavaScript or anything like that, but you need the app. You have a vision in your head. You need the app to work. Cursor allows you to just speak to it. And so in YOLO mode, just speaking plain human English, it will develop the app on the back end for you and start to do the coding for you. Um, One example is something like, let's say I want to create a tic-tac-toe game. Great, I know how tic-tac-toe works. Tell Cursor tic-tac-toe. Oh, and by the way, when I win, play a victory sound, and shoot off some confetti on the screen. Cursor is like, okay, it's coding on the back end. And then you get a preview and then you play it out. And if it does precisely that, wonderful. If it doesn't, tell it where to correct and make change. But it's a game changer because now you don't necessarily need a developer. You need to understand how code works and where you may run into some challenges. But effectively, the power is now in your hands to create an app simply by communicating to Cursor with your voice and knowing what you want. Again, you're driving the ship here. Okay, we stayed on that slide for quite a little bit. There was a lot of detail there that I just wanted to go through. For most brands, one of the key things that you're going to use, AI for is for customer support. Very often, you get customers who may call you, and with questions. And either if you're a tradesperson, maybe you're a roofer or a flooring person, and you do the work yourself. So rather than having to stop in order to go answer questions that typically can be answered probably from your website, you can use your customer service AI to handle it. So AI, your chatbots are working 24/7 for customer support. It basically allows AI-driven email campaigns that you can tailor messages to your customers based on their preferences. And then also your AI analytics, it can be used here to understand customer behavior and optimize marketing efforts. When the chatbot is deployed onto your website, literally it's looking for familiarity. So it's looking for, if I've engaged with your chatbot before, it'll take my name and it'll take my mobile number. Those two identifiers can be used for it to remember the conversations that we had the last time I spoke with it. So then it'll begin to say, oh, yes, I remember the last time we talked about ABC. And so it'll continue the conversation with that context in mind. So now, as I want now to talk about, my vacation, it'll remember the last conversation we had. And if there's any relevant information there, it'll apply. Okay, enhancing your brand storytelling with AI. So AI tools generate engaging and relevant content with your help, obviously. And AI-assisted video creation and design can again enhance your storytelling. We talked about the importance of using it in social and using. Yes, I just kind of went ahead of myself. Using AI for social media management and audience engagement. One of the things as brands, one of the things that's important to keep in mind is when you're telling the story of your brand, it's super important that you remember the story of your brand is not about you. Story of your brand is about the impact that you make for your customers. And that's where that your customers become the hero of your story. And so you want to always be speaking from there. What have we done to help a customer like other customers to achieve A, B, C, to improve the quality of their lives? That kind of construct around your storytelling is what people want to hear, because at the end of the day, I promise you, they don't really care about where you started or who, which great grandparent founded your company and so forth. They really care about what you can do for them. So as you make your stories about them, AI can help you craft all of that messaging and make it work for them in a way that feels interesting and authentic. Okay, acquiring customers using AI. So AI-driven lead generation and qualification. You can also automate follow-ups to increase conversations. We talked earlier about the automation component and how literally once you know their name, their email, you can put them into an automation stream. So let's say you send out email newsletters every month. You can put them into that stream and then have them receive those emails on a regular schedule. Better yet, let's say you do segmentation. So I acquired this customer through this stream, and when they came in, they were interested in my cupcakes. When they came in, they were interested in my donuts. If you can segment those, then you can create multiple streams for how to connect with them, or one email that literally parses out sections for those different audiences so that each individual is getting what they need from you. And that's the best way to use automation. You get predictive analytics to target high value customers. And that's kind of the personalization component there. And then AI powered ad optimization. So AI powered ad optimization, obviously you don't control that side of it, but that's what Google Maps is using. If you run ads through Google, Google is optimizing who to display the ad to based on, in marketing, we call it typically A/B testing. That's now like a tedious process. You're going to run an ad for a while with like specific things in place. And let's say you want to test for which headline got the best response. When you put that into into the Google Mac server, it will take 7 different headlines and different offers and call to actions, and it'll run a little matrix of them. It'll show different sections to different audiences, and it'll watch for which ones get the best responses. And then as it sees a particular combination of elements are getting a better response, it'll double up or triple up on that particular ad being shown to your customers to get you more leads, all without you having to actually do anything to affect it. It's all happening by itself. Okay, automating customer service with AI assistants. This is where we talked about the chatbots and virtual assistants handling FAQs. FAQs, again, it's a wonderful thing to have already on your site. If you find that a lot of your customers tend to ask the same questions, this is a great time to build not only that, but a whole body of information about your organization that the chatbot can hold. And literally, it sits on your website. So if anyone asks a question, the chatbot can answer it. That then alleviates you from having to stop what you're doing to go to customer A, B, and C to answer the exact same question about your business. Automation kind of helps with all of that stuff. So here you have AI powered CRM systems, and this is where everything can be automated in terms of your tasks. So the best thing you can do is just take a step back, look at your organization, and account for all the little details of things that you do. Who email, how many times do you have to do certain repetitive tasks, and then put them all into categories, and then look at what is automatable. What can we connect through Zapier or make.com in order to have it do these automations all by themselves so you can reassign your human staff to something else. In let's say doctors' offices, I've noticed that most people that go into work as a doctor, you're going in to provide care for people, but without these automations in place, you are having to do a lot more of the interfacing and just kind of business, day-to-day, step-by-step business elements. When you use AI and you automate all of those things, What it actually does is it frees you up. So now with those tasks kind of offloaded from you, you now have a lot more time to do the thing that you actually went into business to do, which is now you can focus on that one-on-one engagement. So rather than rushing a customer, a patient out within 20 minutes just to be able to like keep your numbers consistent in terms of how many patients you can see, you literally can remove those tasks, and then that 20 minutes is now dedicated to like, how do I help this particular patient heal, be better. You can have a more relaxed conversation with them because AI allowed you to take the just kind of the business mechanics out of your chunk of time with that particular patient. Okay, implementing AI-driven marketing campaigns. So AI-driven ad targeting can be used to reach the right audience. So we talked about the way Google Maps kind of like does the mixing and matching to find the right audience for you. You can use automated email and social media marketing. So imagine, so when we talked about Canvas, Canva, you can use Canva to create, let's say in your busy days, set aside, a Monday that you're going to just create all of the content that your audience is going to get for that, for the following, month, and you generate everything. You can use your automation tools to schedule that. So, if you're posting into Instagram, the post is scheduled to only go out Mondays at 8 a.m., on some sort of schedule that you've determined is right for your audience. And that's what it'll be. So even though you've kind of front loaded all of the different posts, it can go out on a schedule that you've predetermined. And so while that's happening, it frees you up to be able to be reactive. If, let's say, something happens in the news and you're like, oh my God, I need to speak to that because that maps back to my business. Now you've got time. You've got your normal stream of posts that are going on. Now you've got time to create an outlier, to create a second stream that, just because it's more reactive and in the moment, you can use that to be part of the conversation that's happening in social. And this would be the same for your emails. And then we already talked about, like, A/B testing and campaign optimization. And again, if you're finding your audience is reacting to certain things and you're getting that feedback from Google Maps, now you can go back and say, let me double down on this type of content because I'm seeing the other stuff is not really lifting the bar, it's not moving the needle. So let me double back on the other stuff. And then again, you go back to use information to feed what you're doing in the moment. Okay, so it's now time for us to apply what you've learned. Okay, all right. How do you get started? Identify those key business areas that can benefit from AI. Start with simple AI tools like we talked about: ChatGPT, Claude, Canva. Okay, practice writing detailed contextual prompts. And then test and iterate AI with automation strategies. So again, test and iterate. If you want a book written, don't tell AI, write the whole book. You want to tell AI what you want and then say, break it down into the chapters or sub chapters that relate to the topic that I'm looking for. And AI will break all of that down. You review it. If it works, then you tell AI, okay, let's start with chapter one, sub chapter one. And then it'll start writing just that. And then you review it. I like it. Great. Let's go to chapter two. And then by you chunking it and iterating it that way, you can get your whole book written in a way that the ideas still marry up to what you want to say. But you don't have to sit there and type and think about every little piece of it. AI can help you bridge that gap that way. Okay, so you can implement on a small scale before full rollout. One of the scary things about having to adopt AI like this is that you're afraid of what could go wrong and what you could mess up. Well, if you start small and then controlled settings, it allows you to kind of build up and gain the confidence necessary to then kind of take the next step. But again, it's all about baby steps. But you know, leave the fear out of the room, jump right on in and start doing it on a small scale. And then literally as your confidence grows, you'll start to attack bigger tasks. And then if all else fails, seek expert guidance and get some correction and then go right back to it again. Okay, overcoming common AI challenges is this is the big piece, is fear of complexity. And again, start small, scale up. Budget concerns. Many of these AI tools that I mentioned are either free, or should I say at least free to begin, and they're affordable and scalable. So you can start small, and then like ChatGPT is, there's a free version, and then there's the $20 a month version. You don't have to go straight to the $20 a month version to get started. And then there's iteration issues, right? So choose tools that integrate with your existing systems. We talked about the use of Zapier and Make to be able to connect things. So that's important. And then just the lack of AI knowledge. Leverage user-friendly AI solutions. So anything that allows you to simply talk to your AI, so that you can focus on the idea, right? What you're thinking, and getting that out is going to be important. So adopt the ability to just simply speak to the system and letting it help you figure things out. All right. So our recap and takeaways. AI can turn you into an army of one. You just have to be efficient with it, and effectively, personalize customer interactions and improve satisfaction. AI can remove a lot of the repetitive tasks that we do as businesses, and this will free up time for more high impact activities. Also, your free AI tools are available to help you get started in your business areas. But all it takes is you just kind of like developing the willingness to take that first bold step, and then from there it's baby steps, and before you know it, you're off to the races. And the last thing I would say is the absolute worst thing you can do in this new era is to do nothing. It's the best way to hamper your own growth and ensure that you become obsolete. So please take it from me. You want to hop in and begin to play with the tools. Now you have a really good set of guiding principles and things that you can do to build familiarity, and kind of get yourself off to the races and get started. And with that, I conclude. And I think we can open the floor up for
All right.
questions.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We'll now use the remaining time for a little Q&A. We'll take as many as possible up till 1 o'clock. So you can submit them via the chat feature in the lower portion of your screen. Okay, so the first one I'd like to say is they were asking, do you do tutorials, Joe?
I don't do tutorials, but I do consultations. And what I like about the consultations is that we can make it specific to your business and what your particular needs are, where your strengths and weaknesses may be. So it's more of a targeted, specific, and not a kind of one size fits all type thing. So I'm available for that.
Right. Okay. The most common thing we like to say is we consider this Joe's intellectual capital. We don't send out the pictures, but everybody who attends is going to receive a link to the recording. You can go back, watch the recording as much as you want. Take some screenshots or some pictures with your phone of some of the pertinent slides that were good. I know you're one on tools. I plan on going back and taking a picture of that tools page. That was great. A lot of those I've never heard of. By the way, Canva, for instance, is a tool that we use at SCORE. And if you've gotten our emails, those were generated in Canva and sent out to Constant Contact. And you probably get too many of them, actually. But it was a fantastic presentation, a lot of practical information there. I mean, I've played around with ChatGPT myself, just gone in and said, give me a business plan about XYZ. I never got that sophisticated with all the prompts that you just went through. That was a lot of great advice on how to build those prompts. I'll definitely take that to heart myself. One question was, let's see, there's so many coming in that it's hard to keep up with, actually. But there's one in one question: have master brands contemplated interoperability requirements, and how LOT, I don't know what that means, will evolve the digital infrastructure as quantum computing and relevant applications will pull? This question is a little complicated for me, and I think for probably most of our audience, we probably spend a whole hour talking about that one. One question was, what is the difference between SEO and NLP?
Oh, SEO is your search engine optimization. So think of that as the larger term. It incorporates a lot of other things. So it's your use of imagery. It's how much text you have on the screen. It's how frequent certain keywords show up, and your relevance to the particular, let's say, the particular industry that you're in. So if you want to be seen as the expert, SEO is like, I'm looking at the overall construct of everything. And then also citations. How often do you show up in other areas, overall, as an expert in what you do? So if you're looking to become, higher ranked, you want those citations. You want Yelp to be talking about you. You want LinkedIn, Facebook to be talking about you, things like that. All those little citations will add up to your SEO, overall SEO ranking. NLP is your natural language processing. So that really speaks to the readability of your content. So if you're talking about your brand, how quickly scannable is the information? The kinds of words that you're using, is it something that people can read quickly, get the meaning, and go? So your NLP is like very specific to what you write. Your SEO is overall organization representation in on the internet.
Okay. And can AI convert English into TWI language?
What is TWI?
I'm not sure. Maybe Anson can share that with me.
So as that comes in, I'll say this: AI can, if this is a like I was saying before, language translation, AI can absolutely do that. It supports, I think, right now about anywhere from 20 to like 50. I looked at the last 20 that I kind of like really care about for my audience, but I think it can go up to about 50 languages. And they're working on it. There's certain nuances that they don't have just yet. But then when you go into something like the voice area, voice is only supported in English right now. But again, the things are changing so fast with AI that literally we could be having a different conversation if you wait 2 to 3 months. We could be saying, "Yep, absolutely, I can speak it." So in a spoken form. So right now, in written form, yes, you can have. I think it's like there's 20 languages that right out of the gate it supports. Play an experiment with ChatGPT. If you have let's say a Spanish speaker, in your midst, engage it in Spanish and then watch how it responds to you. So it can begin in English, but if you tell it, I speak Spanish or I speak Japanese, speak to me in that, it'll automatically shift, and then that's the language it'll engage you in.
Got it. What if someone doesn't want to use ChatGPT? I guess they're asking about what the other ones that are out there.
Yeah, so GPT is like your general kind of base, standard for all of them. But if you prefer Perplexity, the method of engagement is the same. So you tell it what you want, give it good prompts, and it'll go do the research, find what you want, and give you answers. Claude does similarly. So I kind of put them in the same bucket because they kind of do the same. It's just you'll find that different tools are better at different things. Some of them are really great with coding. So let's say you need to write, JavaScript to support a website. Claude will do it. They'll all do it, but some are just better at other things than others. So you just want to play with them all and find the one that does what you need done the best.
Right. And is Canva part of ChatGPT now?
It's not part of it, but they certainly, they kind of overlap a little bit, where GPT can produce imagery. But I think using tools that are specifically crafted for certain tasks are right now still the way to go. Yes, I can get GPT to produce an image, but Canva is specifically designed to do that. So you'll want Canva to help you create like the little video snippets and things like that, because that's just what it's designed to do. So it's a little bit of a mix and a little bit of a crossover, but you want the dedicated tools that are best at doing the thing that you want it to do.
Right. Well, one person wanted to know your contact info. Actually, on the screen, you have your email. Is that your preferred method of people reaching
Yes.
out to you?
Yes.
Okay. And let's see if there's other questions here. Wonderful class. Most of these are comments.
Thank you for taking the time to read these out for me, Tim.
Right, right. Can you do social media scheduling on Canva?
I haven't tried using Canva for that. I use a different platform for social media scheduling. The one that I use is called High Level, and it's one of the foundations that my marketing services are kind of built on. So within that environment, I can absolutely schedule for content to show up in social media, and it's not just one. You can literally craft, let's say, because one of the things is length of copy, right? So X requires a certain length of copy. LinkedIn will say you get a little bit more, or Instagram will require a little less. But you can then use AI within that platform to adjust the copy to fit the character length for posting. And so when you kind of pre-establish all of this in advance, then you tell it on Monday at 8 a.m., release this one. Tuesday, 12 p.m., release that one. And you set that across the board. And then you can go about your business, and that stuff will happen all on its own.
Got it. Another question is, which CRM system comes to your mind that's AI powered?
Right now, I wouldn't say they're all kind of incorporating AI to some degree, but I haven't come across anything that's completely AI powered, right? They all have an AI component because it's like we're all rushing to adapt to using AI as an augmentation of what we already have. So it's being enabled in it, but I've not come across one that is entirely, based in AI yet.
Right. And how can I embed AI chat box into my website? Also, do I need to pay for it?
Yeah. Unless you're technically inclined, if you have the technical skills, you can create a chat bot. There's tools like BotPress. That wasn't on my list, but you can use something like BotPress to create a chat bot and deploy it onto your website. I mentioned High Level. Again, it's what I use. I use that to prompt and create the knowledge base to inform my AI, and then I deploy that onto a website. I develop my websites in WordPress, so I'm able to use the short code and put it into my WordPress platform so that it then represents, it pulls my AI assistant onto my website, and then the knowledge base that I've already given it answers all the questions. So right now it's still type based, but literally it can sit on your website and answer everything. So it can act as your 24/7 customer support. If you need to show people how to do, step by step, how to build the bed that I make, you can put it all into the chatbot and it'll tell people exactly what you need them to know.
Right. Okay. Someone wants to know if you've had experience with DeepSeek.
I have DeepSeek. I'm just starting to play with it. I've been a little cautious to incorporate that in a heavy way into my AI assistants just because of how the government feels about it right now. So while I'm starting to play with it, I'm not ready to recommend, where, how far you want to go with it just yet, but I am starting to play with it. Same thing with Manus. I'm just starting to play with these new models. But again, with the government being so heavily involved in it right now, I have to pick and choose wisely, which system I base a lot of my business practice on.
Yeah. So I think one question was, can Canva do a video?
It can create like a video from a series of images, things like that, but depending on the type of video. So video effectively is just a series of images strung together. So if you're looking for something that'll take a sequence of images and compress it together so it's like moving, yes, it can do that. But if you're talking about, can it go like on a video shoot or something like that, you'd have to provide the video. So then at that point, you're giving it video to do a final output video. Maybe you've overlaid some text and things like that on top of it. But what you're feeding it is part of the mix. So you kind of have to consider, when you say video, that's a broad category for someone like me. There's a lot, and if video is just for me, just the format, the final output. But there's lots of ways of getting there. So we need to be a little bit more specific on that. But yes, the final output of video, yeah.
Well, thanks, Joe. There are so many questions that we just didn't have time to get to, and I just mirror a lot of the comments coming through. It's great presentation, great knowledge on your part. We'll have to have you back to follow up on this with another webinar in the near future. Okay, so again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please visit our website, click or request a mentor. Also, please fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar. On behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's SCORE live webinar. Have a nice day, everyone. Thanks,
Thank you,
Joe.
everyone.
Take care.